Now it's time for Toker Talk Radio, the voice of the marijuana nation.
What are you people? On dope?
Where you can toke.
I inhale frequently.
Or you can talk.
I experimented with marijuana and didn't inhale.
Or you can toke and talk.
10 federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
While we talk about toke on Toker Talk Radio.
So, by the way, when it comes to pot, you know, if you're 40 years old, you live in a log cabin in Oregon, you got 12 giant pot plants in your backyard, have a ball.
Live from beautiful Portland, Oregon at Rolla J Studios.
Hey, this is great. Just not cannabis.
Plus your calls live at 971-533-7111.
They're walking on their pants with their cap on backwards, listening to Enema Man and Snoopy Poop Dog.
What's to keep somebody from getting all potted up on weed and then getting behind the wheel? Gateway theory doesn't work. It's a reality.
Holland, is it real? Don't tease me.
We're locking up people that take a couple of puffs of marijuana, and the next thing you know, they got 10 years.
And now, here's your host, the guru of ganja graphics, the sultan of sativa statistics, and the worst nightmare of a reefer mad prohibitionist. A polite, perspicacious, productive pothead with a propensity for PowerPoint. Radical Russ Belville.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. 4:02 in the Pacific Time Zone. Time for Toker Talk Radio. Light 'em if you got 'em. I don't got 'em today. I'm out. I'm on a tolerance break. A involuntary tolerance break. Yeah, it happens to the best of us, man. Little light on funds. That is maybe one of the downsides of legalization, if there is to be one, and that is, back in the day, you know, when it was completely illegal, everybody kind of interdepended on one another. You know, a friend with weed is a friend indeed. You know, if you were low, your bro would spot you some, and then when you got some, you'd spot your bro some, and everything was cool. Kind of goes away when it's all purchased. When it's all, you know, it's not just guys buying off the black market, but when now you can just drive, you know, a few blocks and buy some, and you're out, people are more like, well, dude, just go buy some more. So we're hoping for the best, but it's a dry day here. Now, on the show today, we're going to talk a little bit about Senator Dianne Feinstein, the 81-year-old California Democrat, who, for the purposes of marijuana, might as well be the worst Republican out there. I mean, she is so stridently anti-pot that her brain is still stuck in like 1976 or something. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But first, oh boy, folks, I got to get to this. Nancy Grace on Headline News had another one of her marijuana segments because it's about the only way she can get ratings anymore. And she faced off against rapper 2 Chainz. Because, you know, when you want to know the facts and science and logic and legislative history and politics and culture about marijuana, you ask a rapper, right? Don't bother getting like Dr. Carl Hart on there, or don't bother getting Ethan Nadelman on there, or me for that matter. Hell, she's had debates in the past with Normal's Norm Kent as well. I think she's getting tired of getting her ass handed to her in these debates. So maybe she figures, we'll get the rapper on. We'll get some more ratings from all the rap fans that show up to watch, and you know, he'll just be a rapper, so I can demolish him, right? Well, turns out Mr. 2 Chainz ain't no dummy. Mr. 2 Chainz is like a 4.0 student, was a 4.0 student, very smart man. You can't judge a book by the cover every time, and I think Nancy Grace made a mistake in her judgment. So let's take a look at some of the video. We'll play some of this throughout the rest of the show here. If I can get it to appear. I think a lot of people are hitting on this video. So let me do a refresh here, see if we can get this on. Also, don't forget that today we're going to have our Irie Wednesday Daily Toker Tunes coming up at 20 after. But let's see what we got here on Pot to Blame. Oh, there's Norm Kent. So we got Norm Kent on the show as well as 2 Chainz. All right, let's check it out.
A superstar in his own right, known as 2 Chainz, also Tahid Epps, also Titty Boy with us from my old stomping grounds, College Park, Georgia, now one of the most famous rap stars in the world. You know, 2 Chainz, first of all, thank you for being with us. You're a star. So many people, so many teens, so many young adults look up to you. Can I ask you, when you hear about cases like this, why do you still support the legalization of marijuana? Because, you know, I know your persona is different from your rap persona. I know, for instance, you graduated with a 4.0, that you got a scholarship. That's 2 Chainz' happy birthday, Def Jam Records. Why do all the guys have on regular clothes and the women have on skin-tight leopard suits? You know, I don't know the answer to that. But why do you advocate legalization of pot when you hear stories like what I'm talking about?
Well, from the stories that I just heard you talk about, they had alcohol included, which we all know, you know, cause you to black out, forget things, and have memory loss. They also dealt with irresponsible people. I don't think that you could put an umbrella on the whole community off these few incidents that you just named.
Well,
So
what community is that? The potheads?
The smokers, the stoners community. I just feel like you can't use these particular stories to define everybody that has recreational use.
I'm not defining everybody, okay? So don't throw me in that pot and stew me. What I'm saying is legalizing pot ends up in stories like this. And you, with so many people looking up to you, advocate legalization of pot. And I don't get it. I mean, I've seen video of you smoking a big fat doobie. I mean,
we'll stick with that. We'll come back after this break and give you more.
Elitist. Just like any other dishwashing, burger-flipping, public school-educated, self-employed, bar band, musician, National Guardsman, he's Radical Russ.
.420 Radio, freeing your mind 24 hours a day. This is Radical Russ, encouraging you to take a look at the Weed Blog every day. Johnny Green and the staff at the Weed Blog are on top of all the latest developments in the fight to end marijuana prohibition nationwide. You can even get the Weed Blog on your smartphone by installing the Weed Blog app for iPhone and Android. If it's about weed, it's on the Weed Blog, including my original writing. So don't delay, read the Weed Blog today.
Funky Roller Ring.
Oh yeah.
What's happening, Groovy Cats? This is your Funk Master, Ceremonies Big Daddy, and I want you to join me every Thursday night at 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific, right here at the Funky Roller Ring.
Oh yeah.
Your home of soul, funk, and disco, baby.
Funky-licious.
There's always a party at the Funky Roller Ring.
Sir, do you think there will or should come a time for us to discuss the possibility of legalization, regulation, and control of all drugs, thereby doing away with the violent criminal market as well as a major source of funding for international terrorism? Thank you so much for your time, Mr. President.
Well, I think this is an entirely legitimate topic for debate.
Name the time and place, Mr. President. Radical Russ has been prepping for this debate full-time since 2005. The Russ Belville Show.
Welcome back, everyone. 10 after the hour. That's music from the Dub Funk Association with Hustler's Choice. You're listening to Toker Talk Radio on 420radio.org. And we've got more. There's plenty more. Nancy Grace, rapper 2 Chainz. Let's get back to it.
And I've read your lyrics. I know what you say in your songs. But when you hear stories like the mom and the dad on the front porch, the baby dies in a fire, then my next story. Everybody, that's 2 Chainz's Twitter account. That's him smoking pot. And while I have you, why the 2 Chainz? Just curious.
2 Chainz was obviously my second time, you know, coming around as far as a rapper. My first name was Titty Boy, but the name came from an internal thing with my mom, me being an only child, me being a spoiled brat, me being breastfed, so the whole family called me Titty Boy. But then when it was time for me to really go out here and make a name for myself, I figured like 2 Chainz could obviously mean this would be my second chance, and then 1 chain being who I am and another chain basically being what I thrive to be. So it has a little deeper meaning.
In one of your lyrics, you say, I don't fear death or dying. I only fear not trying. And some of your lyrics are so incredible, but then other of your lyrics advocates a different kind of lifestyle, that I don't think you would want little children exposed to. I mean, do you have children?
I have 2 beautiful little girls, and I'm a great father. I just feel like, you know, everybody should basically take care of their own. You have kids, too, as well, right? So it's about governing your own household. It's about taking care of your own property. It's about having some kind of structure in anything, any drug.
I hear you, 2 Chainz. I hear you. But what I'm saying to you is this. People listen to you. And while you may be able to get high and your children are kept away from that and they're not growing up like that, is my guess, is my hope, other people don't have the advantages that you have. Okay, Liz, show me the video of Jessica Gamble out of Ohio. This mom, look at this, 2 Chainz, this mom making her 2-year-old child smoke pot. Watch this. I want you to watch it. Look at this baby.
That's what I was telling you earlier about trying to classify her as something that we would all do once we would smoke a joint. I feel like she was irresponsible. I feel like she was a bonehead. That was an imbecile move. Anybody that loves their kid definitely knows not to put them in harm's way, and that's what she did. So I don't agree with that at all. I mean, she may have mental issues. It may be something deeper than a joint, I believe.
Now, this is where I got to break in here because I've covered this kind of attitude before. Oh my God, look, they put a pot plant around a kid. They got a pipe around the kid. They're letting the kids smoke pot. Well, obviously, that's an irresponsible parent. But didn't she say that this was a parent in Ohio? Was I wrong on that? Did I mishear it? Last I checked, there's no legal marijuana in Ohio, right? So how is legalization of marijuana causing these parents to be irresponsible? Clearly, even under criminal prohibition of marijuana, you have irresponsible parents that are going to do some stupid shit. It's just as bad to blame this mom. Let me give you a look here. I like doing this every now and then. Go to Google sometime and type in beer baby. Just type in beer baby and you will get this result. Check this out. We'll just let this scroll down for a little while. Kids with a big old thing of Beck's, a bottle of this beer, a Rolling Rock in an infant's. Here's a kid with a cigarette between his fingers and some whiskey bottles near him. Here's a kid with a Coors Light bottle. Here's a little toddler trying to stick her tongue into a glass of beer. Here's a baby with a big old beer that he's trying to get his face into. Here's a dad drinking a beer while he's taking care of his kid. There's 2 kids with beers next to him. There's another kid with a beer next to him. Folks, this scroll will go on forever. And those parents, I would argue, are more irresponsible because they're actually exposing their kid to something that could kill them. So don't give me this, Nancy Grace, about the parents that are irresponsible lunkheads. Her point seems to be that 2 Chainz is a rapper and he's popular. A lot of people will hear him rapping about pot and celebrating the pot lifestyle. I don't recall a single 2 Chainz song where he says, get your 2-year-old high.
Well, you know what? There is something deeper than a joint, and that's well put. Because what she's doing is child abuse. And what I'm trying to say to you is that if this is legalized, then everybody is going to have unlimited access to pot. And unlike other people that are responsible, irresponsible child abusers are going to have free
I'm
access.
not sure.
Now, here's the glaring flaw in that logic. Currently, marijuana is illegal in most places. So, if you're a parent or an adult marijuana consumer, in order to get that marijuana, you break the law. You are regularly a lawbreaker. Now, there may be some people out there. Now, so right now, let's take that group of people, current pot smokers. Right now, Nancy Grace, you're getting all of your scare stories about these terrible parents under prohibition, right? So the current lawbreakers, from that set of current lawbreakers, a much tinier, smaller subset of the current lawbreakers are the ones who are the bad parents and abusing their kids here with marijuana. Now, the proposal is to legalize marijuana. The people who were the set of illegal marijuana users aren't going to change any. They're still the same set of illegal marijuana users, and a tiny, tiny, small subset of them might be the ones that abuse their kids. But under legalization, the new marijuana smokers who are added to the set of marijuana smokers were people who wanted to smoke marijuana but didn't want to break the law. They could have easily. Marijuana is ubiquitous. Anybody who wants to get it can, if you really try. So we're to believe that once legalization happens, the new marijuana smokers who are so scared of breaking a law that a lot of people are breaking, those are going to be the people that are the irresponsible parents that shove the pot in their kids' face. The ones who are so afraid to smoke a joint themselves as an adult when it was illegal, once it is legal, are going to start pushing it on their kids. That makes no logical sense whatsoever.
You know, but everybody has the ability to get their hands on pot right now, whether it's legal or not. I just feel like if you legalize this particular drug, it could cut out certain things in the criminal justice system, as far as the overcrowding of prisons, as far as putting this on our criminal record to prevent us from getting loans, prevent us from getting homes. Just the whole thing around recreational weed is not making any sense to me.
If you want to qualify for a home, then why don't you just not smoke pot? Why don't you just not get arrested?
Yeah, see, I love that. I love that argument. I love that argument. See, this is the attitude that marijuana is just something you're choosing to do. It's a fun pursuit. And you are just being irresponsible, selfish, and being childlike in wanting to play. And now it's time to be an adult. And if you want a house and if you want a job, why then you just shouldn't smoke pot. Drink all the beer you like. Get puke-faced drunk all you like. That's fine. Smoke cigarettes until your lungs collapse from cancer. That's great. Even that aside, though, the flaw in the thinking of that we should just give up marijuana is the flaw in looking at marijuana use as just some recreational thing instead of looking at it for what it is, which is a civil right. I have the right to do with my body what I choose. If a woman has the right to govern her uterus, I have the right to govern my brain. We all have the right. This is a civil right. And so what you're saying, Nancy, is you should just abandon your civil right to do with your body what you choose if you want to work in this country. If you want to get a loan, if you want to get a job, if you want to get a house, you should just not enjoy your civil right. And these, people would freak if they said, well, 2 Chainz, if you want to get a loan, you can't date a white girl. Oh, 2 Chainz, if you want to get a loan, you can't be Jewish. See how it hurts when you think about it as a civil rights issue? And that's what we are seeking, is equal civil rights in this country with beer drinkers and cigar smokers. No logical reason we shouldn't have them.
I'm I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Oh, it's 4:20 here in the Pacific time zone, and I'm forlorn because I've got nothing to smoke. The tables have turned. My audience out there, you're going to have to smoke for me this time. I sure hope you can. We come back, we got Irie Wednesday with Gordon Green in our Daily Toker Tunes. Stick around.
.420 Radio, your ticket to Seattle Hemp Fest.
The Green Cross has been an amazing source of cannabis medicines for my pain management. Whether I need edibles or tinctures or topicals, I'm able to combine the 2 or 3 to give me really successful pain control.
It's the delivery service that Green Cross provides is just incredible. You get your medicine and it's delivered by a person that you trust.
Whether we come to you or you come to us, the Green Cross delivers.
NORMAL stands for Responsible Adult Cannabis Use. If cannabis use is causing problems in your life, consider taking a break or seeking medical assistance. Consider ceasing cannabis use if you have a family history of mental illness. Don't drive or operate heavy machinery while impaired by cannabis use. Cannabis use is not without risks, even though the risks may be far less than those posed by legal drugs.
Get.buzz. .buzz is the internet platform that fuels community interest, excitement, and new experiences. .buzz is the premier online destination for internet users seeking the latest news on a variety of topics. .buzz appeals to groups active in blogging, communications, journalism, advertising, and marketing. .buzz offers registrants a stronger alternative to the shrinking namespace of existing top-level domain names, such as .com, .net, and .org. Get your name now at get.buzz.
Everyone knows music and marijuana go together, so let's wind up our 20 after break with the Russ Belville Show's Daily Toker Tunes, the best in pod-safe 420 music from around the web. Today is Irie Wednesday, featuring reggae, ska, and other world music genres. Now, sit back and enjoy your Daily Toker Tunes.
All right, welcome back, everyone. 22 and a half after the hour. We don't get Gordon Green calling in today, but let me just remind you that our music shows are now playing at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Pacific time. So tonight at 8 p.m. you'll get a new edition of Gordon Green's Music Planet. Check that out, the best in world music, a 1-hour mix. You'll learn plenty from Gordon Green and his international travels, cataloging the best in music from all continents. This is one of those tunes from Fatoumata Diawara. The tune is entitled Bissa.
Conto vengondi agnege uko benike mi mane conto vengondi agnege kone dume burama infine ko jalama kone dume solo infine ko jalama kone dume alama infine ko jalama uko beke di bisa uko beke di bisa uko beke di bisa uko beke mane conto vengondi agnege uko bendike mi mane conto vengondi agnege kone dule burama infine ko jalla kone dule alama infine ko jalla kone dule solo infine ko jalla uko beke di bisa uko beke di bisa uko beke di bisa uko beke KDB.
.420 Radio, your ticket to the High Times Cannabis Cups. The law offices of Omar Figueroa would like to remind you to stand up for your rights. If you are detained or arrested, treat law enforcement with respect and stand up for your rights by repeating, I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search and seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to speak with my attorney. Please contact the law offices of Omar Figueroa at 415-489-0420 or 707-829-0215 or on the web at omarfigueroa.com.
Fun.
What's happening, cool cats? This is Big Daddy, and I want you to cruise on over to the Funky Roller Ring. We'll be grooving all night long. Doors open at 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific, every Thursday night, right here on RadicalRuss.com.
Funky-licious.
Are you a hypocrite? If you live a closeted cannabis lifestyle, you are. Read about 7 people living a closeted cannabis lifestyle who are on the verge of coming out in The Hypocrites by Mara K. Eaton. Available at areyouahypocrite.net. You can purchase the book on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, also available on iTunes. Check out Mara K. Eaton on Facebook as well. Learn more at areyouahypocrite.net.
Welcome back, everyone. 28 and a half after the hour. That's music from 10-Foot Ganja Plant with Burning James. We got Left Wing Larry in the chat room who's still gloating over the Ohio State Buckeyes. Not just dominance in the college football championship game, but dominance in the college football semifinal and dominance in the Big Ten championship. I mean, that Zeke ran for 230 against Wisconsin, 220 against Alabama, 240 against Oregon, something like that. Damn, I hope the Packers draft that guy. OHIO. Nice that worked out for you. And of course, Ohio State finishes the year number 1, Oregon number 2. TCU finished at number 3, and I will be traveling to Texas Christian University in Fort Worth, Texas for St. Patrick's Day. I'll be part of a debate that they are trying to schedule between myself and, wait for it, Kevin Samet! Yay! Oh God, I sure hope this one comes through. They got me first, so I don't know. Kevin might not take the gig. Plus, I don't think they can afford him. I really don't think they can afford him. But Alabama, Herb Thrasher's Alabama team finished at number 5, and my Boise State Broncos finished at number 16. We're going into the next year preseason rank of 16th in the nation. Pretty happy about that. All right, let's go to the phone lines, where waiting on the phone is one of our good friends, an aficionado of pork products, and Rex Ryan's biggest fan. We got Bacon Dan on the line. How you doing, Bacon Dan?
I'm good, and hey, if that kid from Ohio doesn't go to the Packers, I'll gladly take him on the Bills.
Yeah, no doubt. Zeke was a monster, wasn't he?
Good Lord, that game, I was very surprised in the game, and I have to say, Larry can gloat about it, but the Buckeye plant is literally poisonous and it kills people, so I'll take a duck over a Buckeye.
The Buckeye plant is poisonous. Yeah, that's true, actually.
It is.
There was...
And I have to say, for as much as I was holding against Rex Ryan, his press conference today, he is looking forward to making the Buffalo Bills a bully team that people don't want to play against. So I can't complain right now.
And because I saw Rex's press conference on the TV while I was at the gym, and I didn't get to hear it or anything, but I got to thinking, it's like, the one thing you could say about Buffalo this year is a kick-ass defense, and Rex Ryan's a defensive guy, man.
Oh, yeah, and you figure next season we got a healthy Kiko Alonso coming back. Oh, yeah. It's going to be very interesting at One Bills Drive in West Seneca, New York.
Yeah. Now, what's happening aside from pro football, man? We're looking at the championship game going down in Seattle. I'm still on the fence. I might catch a train up to Seattle and tailgate up there with the Packers fans. I haven't decided yet.
I personally think you should, and I have to say, very glad to hear about this speaking arrangement in Texas for you. It's getting to the point where I think Kevin Sabet might need to be a character next time you are on Who's the Ross, because it is just, the writing is just too perfect for it.
Yeah, it's been interesting watching Kevin evolve because, right out of the gate in 2012 after legalization passed, it was all, we're going to stop, marijuana's terrible, it's bad, it's not medicine, it's bad for the kids, it's awful. And over time, he's kind of had to evolve his points because fewer and fewer people agree with him, right? Like he doesn't even bring up medical marijuana anymore. He doesn't even try to go around medical marijuana anymore. And then it became, there's going to be big tobacco. That's the problem. They're going to be the next big tobacco. And so he's always evolving on this stuff, but it's no matter how you package it, it's still 100% grade A bullshit.
Oh, I agree. And I have to say, on top of grade A bullshit from him, I, as myself, and I'm sure all of our listeners would agree, somehow we have got to get you to debate that psycho bitch Nancy Grace.
Wouldn't that be fun? I'd like to she keeps hitting up Norm Kent, and I wouldn't say I'm friends, but we're colleagues, we're acquaintances. He knows who I am, and maybe I'll reach out to Norm. Maybe I can get myself on.
I think that needs to happen because it will be viral gold. Like everything that she would try to throw out, and especially given the fact where we live, like, oh yeah, I'm sure she would be like, oh, you're just one of those crazy potheads up in Portland, and I would love to see you rip her apart on this. I'm super excited and crossing my fingers for this.
All right, I'll see what I can do.
All right, buddy. Well, hey, you take care, and I will see you soon, and maybe the Weed Fairy will stop by for some good ganja for you.
The Weed Fairy, my favorite person. All right, man. Thanks.
Have a good one.
All right, take it easy. Bacon Dan, our Roots Monday Daily Toker Tunes editor. All right, let's get to another story. We'll come back to Nancy Grace, but, I can't do too much Nancy Grace in a row, or I can feel my temporal lobes just starting to wither and die. So we're going to go to the LA Times, Los Angeles Times, which is reporting on California's 81-year-old senior senator, Dianne Feinstein. They got to understand Di-Fi. Okay. Di-Fi was the mayor of San Francisco, and she was like a dyed-in-the-wool, 100% we love the cops type person, right? I think she even has some law enforcement in her background. I don't recall, but she's all pro-cop. She's all pro-law enforcement, and she's very, very anti-marijuana. And it's very weird because in California, majorities now are warming up to the idea of pot legalization. And she's from San Francisco. She was the mayor of San Francisco. You couldn't find a more pot-friendly city in California. The Bay Area was where medical marijuana began. That's where it evolved in this country, is from what was going on in the Bay Area. But she remains one of the most strident critics against marijuana legalization in Congress. She's already signed on to a letter with Charles Grassley of Iowa. Now, Republican Charles Grassley of Iowa is, he's a Midwestern old coot kind of guy, right? Very, very culturally conservative, religious conservative. And you'd expect that kind of response on marijuana from a guy like Charles Grassley, even with the irony of his name. So to have supposedly a California Democrat from the left liberal coast joined at the hip ideologically with one of the most conservative, staunch, rural Republicans there is, shows you how the opposition to marijuana legalization and the continued demonization of its users and this embrace of the war on certain American citizens using non-pharmaceutical, non-alcoholic, tobacco-free drugs is one of the few issues that can unite Republicans and Democrats. Now, it's starting to turn in our favor. We're starting to get the uniting of Republicans and Democrats for legalization. You're starting to get Dana Rohrabacher, Rand Paul, and some other folks that have good things to say generally about reform. But this is for a long time, at least in Capitol Hill politics, been the province of Democrats. But it may not be for very much longer. Already, we have notable Republicans lining up to support all sorts of criminal justice reform measures. Do you know who the Koch brothers are? The Koch brothers, Charles and I forget the other one's name, but the Koch brothers are the co-owners of America's largest privately held company. So they're not in the stock market or nothing. You can't look up their financials. You can't know who's on their board or what they do. They're not required to disclose shit because they're a private company worth billions of dollars. Koch brothers are behind throwing shovelfuls of money at conservative candidates, Tea Party people. I mean, hell, the Koch brothers damn near built the Tea Party. If there was no Koch brothers, there'd be no Tea Party. So they're behind every Republican, reactionary, conservative, right-wing wackaloon thing out there. And yet, the Koch brothers are now throwing some piles of money at criminal justice reforms. They're actually looking at donating money to Allison Holcomb and the American Civil Liberties Union for her project on ending mass incarceration. What? Folks, you heard it here first. Radical Russ has been here for years telling you that if Democrats didn't wake up and grab a hold of the criminal justice reform, prison reform, drug reform issue, that eventually, savvy Republicans not completely wed to the right-wing evangelical conservative Christian cultural base, but the more business-type Republicans, the ones who actually want to win elections, I've been telling you that eventually they'd start crunching the numbers and going, well, let's see. Our base is all in their 80s now. They're all getting old and dying. And the electorate is increasingly made up of younger people and more minority people. What issue could we grab a hold of that would catalyze younger minority voters in favor of the GOP without sacrificing any of our conservative core principles? And I told you eventually they'd figure it out. Eventually they'd go, wait a minute. States' rights, limited government, end wasteful programs, individual responsibility. Marijuana legalization hits every target on the Republican dartboard. And sure enough, the Koch brothers have recognized it, and they're starting to shovel some money at it. And we're starting to hear other Republicans that are starting to wake up on this. Meanwhile, two of the most prominent female Democrats out there, Dianne Feinstein and Hillary Clinton, couldn't be more anti-legalization. Are we going to see in our lifetime a flip on this issue? Are we going to see where Republicans become the party of freedom and liberty on marijuana and Democrats become the old fuddy-duddy reactionaries against it? I don't think it's going to go that far. I don't think it's going to be a flip. I think Dianne Feinstein, Hillary Clinton, these establishment centrist Democrats who are stridently anti-marijuana, anti-drug reform are dinosaurs, and they're going extinct. Past 2016, I don't know if even Dianne Feinstein will be around anymore. I don't know how long her current term expires, but at 81 years old, I don't know how much longer she's going to be holding out on that. But in her letter that she co-wrote with Charles Grassley, of the senator from Iowa, said, quote, "We're already seeing signs that the United States position on drug control issues has weakened. It is our understanding that no one in the Justice Department has initiated a centralized effort to measure the overall effect of these laws. The administration should account for remarks and policies that send a message of tolerance for illegal drugs," and so forth. Now, asked to comment on this, Bill Piper from Drug Policy Alliance said, quote, "She's still living in the 1980s. Everyone we have ever talked to who knows her says she is probably not going to change her views. I still hope she will come around. You can't be on the losing side of history forever, but maybe she intends to be." There are going to be a whole lot of people sitting on the wrong side of history as marijuana legalization takes root throughout this country. And the 2016 election, with the possibility of California, Arizona, Nevada, Massachusetts, Maine, Vermont, Rhode Island going for legalization in one way or another, with the continuing unfolding of marijuana commerce in Oregon, Alaska, Washington, and Colorado, and marijuana being used and grown openly by adults right there in their backyard in Washington, D.C., will make it impossible for these politicians to deny the reform movement in 2016. You mark my words, 2016 is the year that everything changes.
Continue the conversation with Radical Russ online. Visit radicalruss.com and email radicalruss@gmail.com.
Science! Good heavens, Miss Sakamoto, you're beautiful! Oh, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we will finish up with Nancy Grace and 2 Chainz. So you might want to breathe some extra oxygen, maybe solve a crossword puzzle or two, play a game of chess before we get back, just so you can feel you didn't completely waste your day ruining your brain cells listening to that woman. Stick around. We're back in about 90 seconds.
.420 Radio, turning red states and blue states green. Are you in the market for portable vaporizers now? Get online to vapes.buzz, the quick and easy link to portablevaporizers.now.com. Vapes.buzz has everything you're looking for, including vape pens, herbal vaporizers, e-juice, parts, accessories, and more. Visit vapes.buzz and save 5% instantly, or give them a call at 866-264-2415. Vapes.buzz. Get vaping. When you are starting up a medical cannabis business, you want a fired-up lawyer who understands the needs of cannabis consumers. The law office of Lauren Vasquez is your fired-up lawyer for the cannabis industry. Visit her website, fireduplawyer.com, or call 1-855-MMJ-LAWS for more information. That's 855-665-5297 for Lauren Vasquez, your fired-up lawyer, or email firedup.
Era un hombre de veras valiente, se burlaba de la policía, a su mando traía mucha gente, su negocio se lo requería, poderoso y también muy alegre, como el diablo se le conocía. Donde quiera sonaba su nombre y tronaba su cuerno de chivo. Cada ráfaga llevaba un nombre, no fallaba, era muy efectivo. Lo apreciaba
Welcome back, everyone. That's music from Los Tucanes de Tijuana. The tune is entitled El Diablo. Of course, Los Tucanes de Tijuana would be the Tijuana Toucans, and El Diablo, the devil. This is a type of Mexican music that's called narco corridos, and it's literally drug war ballads. They're ballads about drug traffickers. That's how much our war on drugs has impacted Mexican society. They actually have an entire genre of music dedicated to it. In a sense, you might call this might be the gangster rap of Mexican music. Isn't that amazing? Anyway, welcome back to the show. Hanging out here at 420 Radio, Rolla J Studios. And, of course, if you missed yesterday's show, you missed my announcement of the formation of Portland Normal with myself as the executive director. We have released our press release to the media, and I've already been contacted by the Portland Tribune with respect to the formation of the new Normal chapter. We have listed our 10 principles, our 10 operating principles, and our operating philosophy. Our operating philosophy is that adult marijuana consumers should be afforded the same rights, privileges, and responsibilities as adult drinkers and smokers. We've already figured out alcohol. That's a substance that can alter your mind and your personality and your reaction times and such. It can impair you. And we've also figured out cigarettes and cigars. Something that's not so impairing, but does cause a toxic cloud of smelly smoke that might, intrude on others. So if we figured out how to deal with impairing drugs and we figured out how to deal with toxic smoke, or clouds of smoke, I should say, we've got marijuana that's kind of both of that, right? And less of it. It'll impair you like alcohol, but not as badly or in the same way. And it'll make smoke like tobacco, but not as deadly. It's not that deadly secondhand cancerous smoke that we're talking about, right? So if we figured out how to cope with alcohol and tobacco for 80 years now, we can deal with legalized marijuana the same way. There's no logical reason why an adult cannabis consumer should be treated any differently than an adult drinker or smoker, so long as they're operating responsibly. So that's our operating philosophy. And then we've specified our 10 principles. We got 10 principles, kind of, you might call it the 10 commandments here. And I'll bring it up into the window, see how much of it you can see here. But as I scroll down, we believe that we should maintain the Oregon medical marijuana program card system and its privileges. Patients do need more, right? And currently the recreational users are limited to having an ounce in public, 8 ounces at home, 4 plants per household. That's not going to do for a lot of patients. So yes, let's keep a card system and let's make sure they get more plants, more possession, tax-free purchases, and so on. However, we should integrate all commercial marijuana production and sales into Measure 91. There should not be separate buildings for healthy people and separate buildings for sick people to buy pot. There should be an establishment of adult personal use venues. We could call them vapor lounges. We can call them coffee shops, whatever you want to call them. You got to give the public some place to be able to gather and use cannabis. Otherwise, they will do it anyway. They will do it in the parks. They will do it in the streets. We've already seen from Seattle and Denver how public consumption citations have gone up because they didn't get them anywhere to use. Already, Seattle City Attorney Pete Holmes is saying, yeah, let's do some vapor lounge thing or something. We want to make sure that we retain the state's sole right of taxation on marijuana. A lot of these, like 70 cities in Oregon, passed preemptive marijuana taxes. And we've learned from Seattle and Denver that if you overtax marijuana, you just help the black market. We reject any junk science DUID standards. You got to prove we're impaired. You can't just prove that we're pot smokers. We stand for an affirmation of the people's right to ban marijuana commerce, but not the government. See, Measure 91 will let your city or town put forth an initiative and have the people vote whether or not marijuana shops are banned. But we're not going to let a city council on its own or a county commission on its own, 5 or 7 people decide for an entire city whether or not I can go to a pot shop. We want to support the marijuana consumer's right to work. We need to end suspicionless testing for inactive marijuana metabolites. We support marijuana consumers' equal rights in parenting, in bearing arms, in medical procedures, and anywhere else. The question should just be, if a smoker or a drinker can have it, then a pot smoker should be able to have it. We support the release of nonviolent marijuana prisoners. If what you did is now legal and you did it nonviolently, not only should we be letting you out of jail, taking you off parole or probation, we should be expunging your record. And finally, we support expanded cultivation rules. 4 plants per household isn't going to cut it for very long. Let's bump that up to 6 per person, 12 per household. That's what Washington, D.C.'s got. Hell, if that's good enough for the seat of the federal government, then it's got to be okay for Oregon. So if you want to have more information on that, you can follow us on Twitter at Portland Normal, and you can visit our Facebook page. Give us a like, Portland Normal on Facebook. All right, so as promised, back to Nancy Grace and 2 Chainz. So put on your helmet and get on the short bus. It's time to listen to Nancy.
We got to try to find ways on getting out. So I figure if we got half of the states legalizing pot, if the rest of the community legalizes pot, that frees up taxpayers' money. That allows us to do something with this extra funds as far as fixing everything from
I don't know what you're saying about freeing up taxpayers' money. What do you mean free up taxpayers' money? Well, what is that?
For me, I'm a taxpayer, okay? And I have one example. For me, I'm a taxpayer. My bus get pulled over and they say they smell weed like they do all the time, okay? They find a grinder on my bus that has 0.01 of residue inside of it. Okay, they lock me up, they strip me, and then they find out I'm a rapper and they want to know how fine is Nicki Minaj. They want to take pictures and they want to let me go. They obviously charge me with 0.01. I go to court, I go to trial, and then they say, do you pack your own bags? Is this your grinder? I tell them no. Well, who pack your bags? They find out my security does it. They drop my case, and then they pick it up on my security, who obviously beats the case. If that's not a waste of taxpayers' time and money, I don't know what it is.
All right. I'm not disagreeing with you that was a big to-do about finding one joint. But what I'm talking to you about...
Sorry,
okay,
wait,
fine.
Nancy.
It wasn't
0.01 of a gram, dear. 0.01, 10 milligrams of weed. 10 milligrams. Let me give you a comparison, Nancy. Let me give you a little comparison since I don't have any weed on me. But I do use these 80 milligram aspirins, you know, for heart and all that kind of stuff. This is an 80 milligram aspirin, Nancy. There you go. That's an 80 milligram aspirin. 2 Chainz had 1/10 of this worth of weed. Little more than 1/10 of that, 1/8 of that worth of weed. That ain't a joint. That ain't even a bowl, Nancy. Good Lord. The ignorance of people who want to get on television and talk and debate about marijuana, and they don't even know what it is. They don't even know what the measurements are. They don't even know indica from a sativa.
Joint. The point is still the same.
Wasn't even a joint. Complete waste of my money and time.
What I'm talking to you about is something different. Now, I know you don't want to see this because it's not fitting with your argument, all right? And what you're saying is not fitting with my argument, all right? Liz, show him. Let's go with Crystal Weber. A mom and her friends giving the 2-year-old daughter pot and letting the kid smoke pot. Okay, everybody is not responsible, 2 Chainz. Everybody shouldn't have free access to go get pot like you get orange juice at the grocery store, like you order it up like a pizza. Look at this child.
I don't even give my daughter a drink, caffeine, at 2 years old. I feel like it may be too strong for them. So, I mean, that's just something that you have to govern in your own household. Everyone knows that this is obviously wrong.
You're looking at the camera. Look at the monitor. Do you see that child?
Now, this kid may need marijuana when he's about 16 because he may, have some other things going on. But obviously, 2 years old.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Now, let's just talk about you for a minute.
You know what I'm
went
talking
to
about.
college. You went to college on a sports scholarship, did you not?
Yes, and I'm very intelligent, and smoking pot for me.
Can I get back to you in high school when you were 16 and you were on a basketball scholarship, as I recall?
Yeah.
Were you using pot then?
I was selling pot then.
You're an athlete.
Yeah, I was selling pot then.
And would you want your children to do that?
Nah, but it was a means for me.
And why is that?
It was a way of living. It was a way of living for me.
Why don't you want your children to do it, man?
Because I did it for them. I sacrificed that so they won't have to do that.
Brad Lamb, when you hear someone as renowned, as famous, as successful as 2 Chainz say he did it, but he doesn't want his daughters to do it, what does that say to you, Lamb?
You know I didn't say that.
Well, with it,
okay,
do as I say, not as I.
I didn't say that. I don't want my daughters to do it at 2 years old. I didn't say I didn't want my daughters to do it at 2 years old. Who knows what they might need for therapeutic reasons? Who knows what might happen 10, 20 years from now? But I'm speaking for myself now and governing your own household. You keep showing this tape of this 2-year-old, this same tape, but I'm sure we can find footage of someone giving their child alcohol, way more footage than this little one tape you got of this kid right here.
Okay, hold. So,
now you want to pipe me down.
No, I want you to use your brain for a minute. And let me ask you this. Are you telling me, 2 Chainz, that my only 2 choices are to get my child high on pot or get it drunk on booze? How about neither one? How about it not be legal for...
How about, Nancy, if your argument is that widespread access to legal marijuana is going to allow the minute fraction of shitheads to give it to their kids, then doesn't that also argue that the widespread availability of alcohol affords the opportunity for the ignorant shitheads to give it to their kids? If your argument is marijuana needs to remain illegal so that the shitheads can't get the access to it for their kids, then you are making a better argument for returning to alcohol prohibition.
Recreational use. So, no, you said you're showing video of a kid getting high on pot.
That's kind of what you're using, Nancy. I can't help. That's all really you got. You're using this one example, and I'm trying to tell you that you you just Google that footage. Google someone giving their child alcohol, and I bet it'd be hundreds of pages to go through. So that's just my point.
And just to support that.
And your point also is, okay, it's bad to give a kid pot. And P.S., we've shown you multiple videos. Wipe those lenses off and you can see many children getting abused. But you're saying, okay, I'm showing you a kid using pot, being forced pot, then there are other people giving alcohol. How about neither one? Is that not an alternative to change? Why can't you not give a kid anything?
My point is alcohol is legal and it's still wrong. You're trying to flip and twist what I'm saying. You know exactly what I'm saying. You know where I'm coming from.
You don't even give your children caffeine. I don't either.
That's all the time we got for Nancy Grace. Doggone it. Just when you wanted to hear her talk more, we're all out of time. What a shame. You can get the rest of that. I have it from the Washington Post Wonk blog. I'll send you that link in our chat room. I think you can also find it on CNN's headline news page. But that's all the time we got for today. Thanks for joining us. Time flies when we legalize. But we'll be back tomorrow with more news you can use for the cannabis community. Coming up on tomorrow's show, we have got law enforcement against prohibition. Cops say legalize drugs. Anthony Sincotti will be on, and I'm sure he's got a much more well-informed attitude toward marijuana than Nancy Grace does. For everyone here at 420radio.org, I'm Radical Russ. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down.